Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Duffy Duck here, and I am from the Maxi Toys, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you our remake Let's Play of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the third time in a row, similar to how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, that Mickey Mouse did manage to finish that Let's Play about, let's say a month ago actually, because of the celebration of Sonic Mania was about to be released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and recently Nintendo Switch. And the reason being for this solution is that I was decided to go ahead and do this game for a third time in a row. But even then, I did manage to back in during 2012. I managed to did that Let's Play back in 2012, but that original playthrough was now removed due to the bad quality and what have you for that little crappy camera I just used back then. And also that I did done this for back in 2014, the exact same year as when Sonic 1 Let's Play did come around. But it went alright, but except the fact that the sound quality is a little bit too meh for my liking. And also that I constantly using save states, and because of that though, that we once again going to be playing Sonic 2 via the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection because of the HD 1080p support, and also that how crisp and vibrant this actually looks. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis when it first came out in 1992. So here we go on to the first stage in Sonic 2, which was Emerald Hill Zone. So think of the Green Hill Zone, but except it's a lot more colorful and vibrant. So yeah, this is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It plays exactly similar to how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, if you ever played that game before or after that. Basically, that Sonic can actually controls very similar to how it does in Sonic 1, as you probably already know. However, the biggest difference, or one of the main additions to the game, is the newest ability for Sonic. So, even then though, in addition to that though, he also has his new companion with him this time around, and that was the form of, if you can tell, from the title screen, and that was the form of Miles Tails Prower, because that's what Tails' first appearance in this game actually is. Which is essentially the fox with two tails though, basically, when it comes to that character description. So, yeah, that he's essentially the first appearance in the actual Sonic series. So, there's essentially you know, as I mentioned earlier, that one of the welcoming additions to this game has to offer is the spin dash, as you can see. While performing it, you're actually going to be pressing the down D-pad and then pressing the jump button simultaneously, so that way you can actually do a whopping spin dash, so that you can actually just get some speed, momentum, and stuff like that. Especially apparent when if you think that if you did not make it to the slant already, like for instance, take this demonstration right here. If you think you're running too slow to that slant, you can use that spin dash until you actually reach up to it. So this ability is really handy, especially noticeable. It will actually just makes it that ability actually makes a return until the future games and onwards, which is essentially apparent until when we get into the 3D games, and even Sonic the Hedgehog CD, and even Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, and even especially Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 and Episode 2, and even Episode Metal for Metal Sonic. So special stages do make a return though, that they are vastly different than the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog 1. To enter one, you must collect 50 rings, just like in Sonic 1. However, unlike Sonic 1, in order to actually get to the special stage in Sonic 1, you need to actually keep a hold of 50 rings at all times. And then that way, if you actually reach the goal, there's a giant ring in order to actually enter the special stage. But this time, however, in order to actually get to the special stage in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, is that you're going to have to keep a hold of your 50 rings at all times, and then find any checkpoints until you actually eventually touch one. And if you do touch one, then the red sparkly ring can actually sparkle around the checkpoint itself. And that way you can actually jump into this little red ring, and that way you can enter the special stage. So the special stage-wise in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is vastly different than the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 actually handles. Because rather than just actually navigating for these lap with maze syndrome, this time, however, you're going to actually be doing with some half-pipe sequence. In order to actually get the Chaos Emeralds, because Chaos Emeralds do make a return, in order to actually obtain one, you must able to collect as many rings as possible before you move on to these 3 different segments of the special stages. Because if you do collect quite a few of these rings, you actually get yourself from ring total count, that way you can actually move on to the next segment of the special stages. So yeah, aside from this particular system, when it comes to how it functions differently from Sonic 1, I don't really mind about this, is that sometimes one thing I actually know something is that we'll explain more on that later. But even though right now I'm gonna have to get these 50 rings again because much like in Sonic the Hedgehog 1 Let's Play, I will decide to actually get all of these 7 Chaos Emeralds. Because the reason why I said 7 Chaos Emeralds, because unlike in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, that in order to actually collect it, in order to actually get ourselves the best ending in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, is to get all 6 of these Chaos Emeralds. But now it actually has an additional 7th one, so that'll be making up into 7 Chaos Emeralds in this game. So, and then after when you actually get all of these 7 Chaos Emeralds and how this game offers, this is what something that's usually a cool, rewarding thing. Even though we'll get to that temporarily, in this case, we'll get to that moments later. So anyways, here on to the second special stage. So yeah, let's go ahead and grab ourselves 50 rings on this special stage. So, yeah. Oh yeah, there's one thing I have to mention is that since this is today was actually the 3rd of February in 2017, is that, recently today, that at least in North America and PAL version of the game, or in this case, you know the game what I'm talking about, the game is actually called Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World for the Nintendo 3DS. That game came out today, which before I played Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, I actually really enjoyed it, and as a result from that, I might decide to actually go through the 3DS version of Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World first, before actually getting back into the Wii U version, because much like how I did for Donkey Kong Country Returns, where I just managed to completely done with the 3DS version first, and then onto the Wii version when I had gone back into that version until that time. So I thought I was going to do that, but the same thing. So yeah, since I still managed to got ourselves, since we actually still got ourselves the 3DS XL, they probably already know something. Well, at least the original version of the 3DS XL is that probably know something is that the frame rate on Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World is actually slightly a little bit different compared to if you actually play Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World. If you ever play on the new 3DS or even the original 3DS models, most likely the original 3DS, 2DS, and even the Nintendo 3DS XL, that usually runs at 30 frames per second, which I don't really mind about it too much because obviously that have more capable of 60 frames per second for the Wii U version. But even then, we still don't have ourselves the new 3DS. But even then, though, I've heard that a lot of rumors about, or I've heard that the new 3DS version of Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World is definitely the definition of the definitive way of playing Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, because it has 60 frames per second, which, again, I think the other toys already mentioned this before, that usually for Sonic and including myself as well, that usually speaking of such though, is that if you ever play Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep from the original PS4 model, even especially the slim version of PS4, that usually runs at 30 frames per second. And then if you ever played that particular game in the 2.8 collection, that you actually manage to realize is that you come across into a 60 frames per second instead of 30. So there's one noticeable thing I must able to find out for that suggestion. So anywho though. Now, unlike in some situations in these particular Let's Plays of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that even though that a little bit apologize if my pronunciation got a little bit wrong for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 type of syndrome, because recently I just had a really rough cold today, because even though my voice is a little bit too much weird, and also my nose is actually really blocking it. So eventually in the next video and onwards, that I will start to let my nose fix a little bit better though when it comes to tablets and stuff like that. So anywho. Anyways, on to the third special stage, and then every time when as you expected for the Sonic special stages to be that department, the special stages can get a little bit more challenging as you progress, especially the 7th and the final one, even for the 6th one as well. So the reason being for that is the fact that this special stages, in this case this installment of the special stages in the 2D Sonic history, is the fact that this special stage is going to be a lot of emphasis on memorization, because there's going to be a lot of emphasis on you're going to have to remember where the rings placements are, and also some bombs you need to actually dodge them, because if you actually just manage to get hit by these bombs, you'll lose 10 rings, so it's going to have to be very careful with that part. So even then though, nowadays, until it gets to Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure, which came out on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which I don't have at the moment, well, I've heard on the Sonic Pocket Adventure for the Neo Geo Pocket Color, it's actually pretty interesting because it does remind me of Sonic the Hedgehog 2.5. Well, usually I say that much because I'll explain more on that later. But anyways though, so yeah, eventually these special stages just start to get some bombs and whatnot, like especially noticeable in these particular sequences like this. But I don't honestly find any of these special stages to be that troublesome at all when it comes to with just Sonic alone. But the only one I found was a real bit of a pain to deal with when it comes to special stages is the final special stage in the game. But we'll get to that in a moment temporarily. So, anyways, let's grab ourselves the red Chaos Emerald. So, even then though, that's how we're actually going to be, even though somehow much like in Sonic the Hedgehog 1 Let's Play is that you won't be seeing this little, although you can barely see these Chaos Emeralds showing up, it's probably because of the emulation of the, you know, the capture card software. That's why it usually mostly does that sometimes. Even for, the AC versions of the capture cards like this is that sometimes you don't purposely see the Chaos Emeralds really well. Until when it starts to flicker from, you know, like, you know, go plain white and then just, like, showing up. But even then, that's what always happens most of the time for, when it comes to those types of situations, though, I must admit. Well, not until when it gets to, like, the Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic the Hedgehog CD, and also Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, and especially Episode 2, that these emeralds doesn't actually flicker and stuff like that until when we get to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and especially, Sonic 3D Flicky's Island. In fact, there's one thing I need to actually compromise for now, is the fact that I decided to actually do a redo Let's Play on Sonic the Hedgehog 3, or Sonic 3D Flicky's Island for a third time again, because although the quality itself is not bad actually, even especially much more better than the likes of how it does it back in 2013, but my only problem is, it's just the sound mixing is a little bit too off, because you can't hear the commentary very well, but most of the majority of it you can hear the game audio, and that's about it. So yeah, that's how it usually goes though when it comes to the plannings of the future plannings for the channel so far. So anyway, getting these continued tokens makes a return from Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Now, you know back in Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is that in order to actually get yourselves a continue system, is the fact that you need to actually get yourselves these 50 rings, assuming if you actually enter the special stage first in order to get yourselves a continue, and that way you can actually get yourselves a continue that way. This game does have a continue system, as I mentioned earlier, but in order to actually get to it, you must able to complete any acts within 10,000 points or higher, because if you do, then you earn yourselves a continue. So it's really easy to get continues this time around though in this game's case, because there's one thing you might actually know something, is that even though we're actually doing even though right now I'm doing all the emeralds run, because even then though, I will do my best as soon as I actually try to find all of these checkpoints in these specific locations. Like, take Emerald Hill for example, that when we actually did manage to done with Act 1, there are a grand total of 3 checkpoints. Even then though, that unlike in Sonic the Hedgehog 1 special stage unlimited attempts, that you only have like 11 attempts to actually try your best to get yourselves all 6 of these Chaos Emeralds. This time, however, you can actually do a lot of attempts to actually get yourselves these Chaos Emeralds in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which sometimes it's immediately apparent, but sometimes though that it's really impossible to do like a multitude of times when you actually get yourselves multiple checkpoints. Anyway, so here we are on to the 4th special stage, and it looks like we ended up in this white-looking version of the special stage color, which that maybe seems more likely logic-wise, but hey, I don't mind about it too much, though, I must admit, though. Now, originally, I was going to do this Let's Play within the addition to Tails actually showing up, but I decided that I would decide to do it as Sonic alone, because this is the prime example that I was not going to be doing the special stages within Sonic and Tails at the same time, because the AI in Tails though, well, he's pretty much a welcoming addition to Sonic the Hedgehog 2D retrospective and stuff like that, but even then though, I don't think that I can't accept it from the special stages, because even then I don't have many issues with that and it's just Sonic all by himself. However, when it comes to Sonic and Tails combination, that could be a bit of a problematic when it comes to doing this redo Let's Play, because even though I would love to do that, but I decided to actually do it with Sonic alone, because doing with Sonic and Tails at the same time, that is by far the hardest challenge I find for these special stages, because not to mention though that you can like have your second controller in order to actually take control of Tails, because this game actually introduced into multiplayer elements in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is especially apparent when we get to Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, and even especially the 3D game, which is most likely Sonic Adventure 2. Well, the most definitive way of playing multiplayer in Sonic Adventure 2 is definitely the GameCube version, because it has a lot of content on that particular version. And even for the DLC content for the HD re-release of Sonic the Hedgehog, no, not Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Adventure 2, if you will, which is known as Sonic Adventure 2 Battles. So, also Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, and even Sonic Colors, and I'm pretty sure Sonic Lost World as well, so... But even then though, I don't think I can just trying to talk about the Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric one, because that multiplayer sucks. But anyway though, so anywho though. So yeah, for what I've noticed, I think is the fact that the only trickiest part to get to these special stages, as you can see here, is that sometimes you ended up just if you're trying to keep a hold of your rings for the whole time, sometimes you might accidentally get hit by this stuff very, very easily. Like take these bugs for example, that we actually got hit by those. In order to actually get those rings again, you're gonna have to do a lot of backtracking if you're actually trying to get all these 7 of these Chaos Emeralds in one particular zone. Which, that's the method I was going to be doing, by the way, because unlike in certain Let's Plays of certain Let's Plays, sorry for that little bit of a messed up lips I'm syncing, I really do apologize for that. But anyway though, so, what makes it different between the other Let's Plays of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is the fact that I will decide to actually get every single Chaos Emeralds within one zone, because I just feel like it, because obviously I just noticed something that I've looked up on the guide of every single checkpoint locations are going to be like. So, yeah, like I've already got that first checkpoint up to all the way up, but I'll just actually take advantages for these little different colored springs, which if you bounce onto these yellow springs, you'll actually bounce you up into like slightly higher, but then if you actually come across into the red springs, you'll actually just bounce you higher from, at least in a vertical position, while in a horizontal position that it'll actually just you know, bounce straight forward, like super fast if you actually bounce onto this little red spring, but in the yellow spring you go bounce slightly slower. So anyway, there was actually a clip of the clip for the wall floor trick. While actually trying to perform it, it's kind of hard to do for me, because although whenever I first managed to got this game, since via the Sega Sonic Mega Collection for Nintendo GameCube, that I managed to realize that I always seem to encounter that glitch from that Sonic Mega Collection version, which I managed to always seem to encounter that whenever I played this when I was young. Oh goodness, get to the emerald, or do I say it, the special stage anyway. Here on to the 5th special stage, and as we expected, that these special stages can get a lot more difficult later on, because obviously the only key factor about this is that obviously the ring placement and even bombs placements you're gonna have to desperately avoid, but the only exception you need to also actually require to get is just rings themselves. So oh yeah, there's one thing I haven't mentioned is that this game also managed to re-releasing it during the iOS devices back in during 2013, among the same years when Sonic the Hedgehog 1 came around on the iOS remastered version created by Christian Whitehead. Christian Whitehead also did Sonic the Hedgehog 2 remake. But even then though, I found that to be a welcoming addition to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 remake. But even then though, that they did manage to fix some improvements though, however, but I'll explain more on that as soon as we actually progress through the game, so, at least as far as this Let's Play is concerned, so. And I believe it or not though, that this film, in this case, that this particular game of Sonic the Hedgehog, well, I believe Mickey hasn't mentioned this before, but even then though, that there was this film called Beauty and the Beast, released in 1991, at least the Disney animated version, that film did came out in 1991, around the same year as when Sonic the Hedgehog 1 first started. And then in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 did manage to came out in 1992, which was around the exact same year time as when Disney's Aladdin came around, which, speaking of between Aladdin and even especially Sonic the Hedgehog 2, it's almost 25 years old at this point, because obviously that, you know, we're almost there to actually just to realize that how, until when it gets to 2018, that Sonic the Hedgehog CD will become 25 years old in that time, and then in 2019 it'll be 25th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic and Knuckles in their separate cartridges. But even then, though, that it will be due to the different release dates and stuff like that. But anyway, though. But yeah, as far as what I can saw from that one point or another, when it comes to the other Let's Players of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that some Sonic fanboys seem to think that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 definitely the best 2D Sonic game, even their favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game of all time. Which I kind of agree to that, actually, because it's gone really successful that part. So anyways, let's jump into the next special stage. Anyways, here we are on to special stage number 6, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. In fact, believe it or not though, it's the fact that, what I managed to realize something is the fact that, between Sonic the Hedgehog 1, that it did originally came out, or originally developed in Japan, that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 did manage to be developed in America, which is pretty impressive in that time, because it used to be more likely back in the day, it usually calls this little celebration day for Sonic the Hedgehog 2's release, which was Sonic, Sonic Tuesday, which that's why that's essentially how this game was actually being developed in America, which is pretty weird if you ask me. But anyway though, so let's go ahead and jump over to these bombs right here. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that the reason why I called Sonic Pocket Adventure Sonic the Hedgehog 2.5, because in Sonic Pocket Adventure usually plays exactly very similar to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, minus what if you don't play as Tails during that time. Well, except the fact you can play as Tails in multiplayer mode, although I may be wrong about that. But even then, I haven't exactly looked up on Sonic Pocket Adventure even for a long period of time. But anyways though, so yeah, from what I've gathered, this is going to be just the one particular zone for this video, is because obviously I'm just trying to get myself all the 7 Chaos Emeralds in one particular zone, in Emerald Hill Zone, so it might be a little bit time consuming to get these rings in during time in order to actually just to get all 7 of these Chaos Emeralds, but at the same time, it's more like just an exploration type of syndrome, because even then though, after when you grab all 50 of these rings, and then quickly hit back into the checkpoint if you haven't touched yet, and that way you can actually grab it from here. So, here we have ourselves the green Chaos Emerald, and we only got one more left, which I wonder what that color might actually represent from. We'll actually find out as soon as we actually try to get to it. So, even then though, that I'm pretty sure I've got myself yet another extra life, which I'm at 7 1-ups. Seriously, a lot of 1-ups to achieve from. But anyway though, so yeah, when it comes to those types of stuff though, there's not much else to say. But even then though, despite the fact that these item capsules do make a return in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, like you're still able to obtain 10 rings, like you're actually going to be hitting those item capsules that contains the rings icons, which that means it will actually allows you to have 10 rings. And then if you're actually just about to get yourselves a billiard shields, which this allows you to get yourselves a shield power up. And then the speed up shoes can actually try to speed you up. And then also the 1-up icons, which allows you to get yourselves a 1-up. And then finally the invincibility stars item box will allow you to go transform into invincibility stars. So I was off by 1 ring. Hold on, let me try and backtrack for a moment there. So even then though, that the checkpoint is right over there, so this might be the final special stage I'm about to tackle throughout, so I don't know what's the point of up there, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be yet another checkpoint, I'm assuming, so even then though, I have no idea how do I get up there. That's the only main concern, so I'm just going to grab 1 more ring here before I actually get into the last checkpoint, before I get into the final special stage, so yeah, as you expected, the final special stage is going to be special stage 7, and this is by far the hardest of the special stages, because expected that you don't accidentally get mistakes, because if you made one simple mistake in these types of special stages, like bypassing those a whole bunch of rings, and also judging by the fact that you're going to have to deal with a lot of timing jumps and whatnot before you actually get those rings faster, because sometimes that Sonic's jump momentum can be a little bit taking a while to actually just get into this little ring collectathons, but sometimes that's mainly the case for my situations. But anyway though, so let's go ahead and just grab these rings from side by side, dodging bombs in the process, and then eventually that, yeah, Now, the reason why I say that this is by far the hardest special stage in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, well, I don't really mind about the first and the second segments, because these segments are pretty easy to actually memorize. But the hardest part about this special stage, though, however, is the fact that when we get to the third and final segment of the seventh special stage, that you'll see why in just a moment. So, yeah, anyway though, so let's see what rings I got. I got 177 rings, so I should able to get enough for 190 rings. So yeah, for this third and final segment, these rings split up. So even then though, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of timing control and what have you, so just in case you get yourself some rings very easily. Although these bombs don't usually seem to worry about you too much. The only thing is you need to worry about is the third and final segment, because if you miss too many rings on this particular segment, then you'll easily just manage to fail the special stage. So yeah, if you get hit by these bombs like this, then you'll lose 10 rings in the process. So anyway though, so let's grab ourselves 222 rings. And then after when you get the this very amazing reward, which is the 7th and final Chaos Emerald, a Grey Chaos Emerald, you will, you get yourselves a fantastic reward after doing this whole abundance of fetch quest and what have you. You can actually change into Super Sonic, which is the Super Sonic's first appearance in this actual Sonic game. So, pretty cool I have to say though, but I'll explain more into that particular situation when we get to later on. But for now though, here we have the first boss in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, because one thing I haven't mentioned is that unlike in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, that only contains like 3 acts per zone. But this time, however, is that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 actually contains 2 acts. Well, except for one zone that predictably has 3 acts instead of 2, but we'll get to that in a moment. But anyway though, so he only has like 8 hits to our disposal, so that way he's pathetically easy. So, he's actually using his egg drill. So anyway, so let's go ahead and free our animals from the animal capsule, and let's just end things off here. So join us next time on Let's Play Sonic the Hedgehog 2, is the fact that we moved on into the next zone in the game, which was Chemical Plant Zone. So see you guys then. Later, fellas.